Welcome back to the TPS Podcast. TPS stands for Trillions Per Second, named after the book. Today we'll discuss the source code, reality as code. This is going to be another mind-bending jam session, so grab your admin hats on and let's dive right in.
It is good to be back. And mind-bending is a term we throw around a lot in this space.
Right.
We use it for cool sci-fi concepts or, interesting philosophical puzzles. But looking at the documentation for today, looking at the source code file specifically, I think mind-bending might be too soft a word.
Yeah.
This feels more like we're opening the instruction manual for a bomb. Or maybe the schematic for the universe's operating system. It's got that level of gravity to it.
It really does have that vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was reading through the prep notes last night, and I had this distinct feeling of, kind of unease. We are just talking about a theory here. The text is aggressive. It's not suggesting, it's stating, it's presenting a schematic.
It is. And to orient ourselves, let's maybe look at the journey so far, because we've built up to this point. We've had some incredible conversations recently.
Yeah, for sure.
We did that deep dive into the interview with the author, the pseudonymous C4 Chaos. That gave us the ghost in the machine perspective, the human element.
Right, getting inside the head of the creator,
Yeah.
which is fascinating. And before that, we broke down the origin story. We talked about that absolutely terrifying sleep paralysis episode that kicked this whole project off.
Exactly. With those, we understood the why. We understand that this project was born out of fear, really, out of a desperate need to understand a chaotic, terrifying experience.
So those are the backstory, the lore.
Exactly, the lore. But today is different. Today isn't about the history. It's about the engine. We are pivoting from why did this happen to a much more direct question. How does this work?
We are popping the hood of the simulation.
We are. And I want to be very precise here because the text is incredibly precise. When we use terms like the physics engine or the source code or the kernel, we are not being poetic.
We're not using metaphors.
We are not making a literary comparison. The TPS project posits that the universe is, quite literally, a procedural generation engine.
Reality is code. That's the phrase they use.
Reality is code. And that means everything you see, everything you feel, and this is the kicker, everything you are is a rendered output of a specific logical process.
Okay, that is a massive claim. And usually when I hear claims like that, I roll my eyes a little bit. It sounds like stoner philosophy 101.
Right. Well, man, what if we're in a video game?
Exactly. But this document, it doesn't read like stoner philosophy. It reads like a technical manual you'd get with a piece of high-end, maybe slightly dangerous server equipment.
It does. And to get us into the headspace to understand that manual, I want to try an experiment that the source material suggests. And I want you, the listener, to actually do this. Don't just multitask through this part. If you're driving, please keep your eyes on the road, but otherwise, just pause for a second.
Okay, I'm ready. What's the experiment?
I want you to look at your hand. Just hold it up in front of your face. Or, if that's not possible, look at the wall across from you. Look at the texture, the light hitting it. Just observe it.
Okay, I'm looking at my hand. It looks normal, looks solid. It's got wrinkles, it's got skin tone. It's just sitting there, stable.
Right. It looks static. It looks like an object that exists continuously in time, like it was there a second ago and it will be there in a second.
Of course.
That solidity is a lie. That is the fundamental premise of the source code document. What you're seeing, that hand, is a GUI, a graphic user interface.
A GUI eye, like the icons on my computer desktop.
Exactly like that. Think about it. When you look at your laptop screen and you see a little folder icon that says Documents, is that folder actually there inside the computer? Is there a tiny little cardboard folder sitting on a shelf inside your hard drive?
No, obviously not. It's a representation. It's a cluster of pixels that my brain interprets, and it tells me, hey, there is data stored at this address. It's a pointer.
It's a simplified, user-friendly overlay designed to hide the complex reality. If you saw what was actually happening, the magnetic states changing on the drive, the raw binary code streaming through the CPU, the voltage fluctuations, you couldn't use the computer. It would be overwhelming. It would just be raw noise.
So the icon is a necessary lie, a convenient fiction. It simplifies the data so I can interact with it without going insane.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the source code argues that your hand, the wall, the chair you're sitting in, those are icons. They're sensory interfaces designed to hide the raw machine code of the universe.
That is deeply unsettling.
Yeah.
Because it implies that my senses are fundamentally lying to me 24/7.
They aren't lying. They are translating. They're rendering. But today, Our mission is to stop looking at the translation. We want to strip away the pretty icons. We want to see the machine code. We want to understand what is happening in the millisecond before your brain paints the picture of my hand.
Okay, I'm with you. Let's look at the raw binary. This brings us to part one of our stack, the physics engine and the flux. And the document starts at the very bottom, the 0 point. He calls it the kernel.
The kernel, right. And in computer science, the kernel is the core of the operating system. It's the boss. It has complete control over everything else in the system.
It's what talks directly to the hardware.
Exactly. In the TPS framework, based on the source code document, the kernel is the central processing unit of the master system.
And I think this is where people might get tripped up immediately. We aren't talking about a physical chip, are we? We aren't talking about a giant server farm sitting in the clouds run by some advanced civilization.
No, and that's a crucial distinction. If you start thinking about the matrix with physical pods and robots and all that, you're missing the point of this specific architecture. The kernel is described in the text as pure, unconditioned logic.
Pure logic, not matter, not energy. Logic.
It is the source code itself.
Yes.
It's the master protocol. Think of it as the mathematical potential for existence. Before a universe can exist, the rules for that universe have to exist, right?
Sure, like 2 + 2 = 4 has to be a true statement before you can have 2 apples and another 2 apples.
Exactly. You've nailed it. The kernel is that set of fundamental truths. It is the 0 point before anything manifests. It is the absolute silence before the symphony starts. It's the set of all possibilities.
Okay, so we have this silent potential code base, but we don't live in silence. We live in a noisy, messy, moving world. My heart is beating right now. The traffic is moving outside my window. The sun is rising. How do we get from potential logic to actual stuff?
It runs, the code executes, and it executes at a specific speed. This brings us to the title of the entire project, the name of this show, trillions per second.
The flux.
The flux. This isn't just a catchy book title. The document defines trillions per second as the refresh rate of the simulation.
The clock speed of reality.
Yes. And I want to slow down here because this is the concept that usually breaks people's brains a little bit. It's really counterintuitive. The document states that reality is not a static place. It's not a collection of objects. It is a dynamic render.
Okay, unpack that phrase for me. Dynamic render.
Go back to your hand. You see it as a solid object holding still. But the physics engine sees it as a standing wave of information. It is being created, destroyed, and recreated trillions of times every single second.
Created, destroyed, and recreated. You slipped the word destroyed in there very casually. That feels important.
I did, and that's the horror of it, really. Or the liberation, depending on your perspective.
So you're saying, in between those trillions of refreshes,
Yeah,
my hand doesn't exist.
correct. For an infinitesimal moment, it's gone.
I don't exist.
In that gap, no. You are annihilated.
That is absolutely terrifying.
It's the gap. It's the flicker. Think about a movie. You go to the cinema, you see a car chase. It looks fluid, continuous, real. But what are you actually looking at?
I'm looking at a series of still photos. I think it's 24 frames per second.
Right. And what is between frame 1 and frame 2? When the shutter closes and the next frame is pulled down?
A black bar. Darkness. Nothing.
Nothing. The screen is black. For a significant portion of the movie, you are sitting in a dark room looking at a blank screen. But your brain, your perceptual system, stitches the frames together to create the illusion of motion.
So continuity is an optical illusion. It's a hack.
Continuity is a hack. It's a trick of the senses. And the TPS project argues that reality works the exact same way, just at a much, much, much higher frame rate. Trillions of times a second. The universe renders a frame of ew, then it deletes it. Total annihilation. Then it renders the next frame, which is almost identical.
So I'm dying trillions of times a second.
And being reborn trillions of times a second. You are a strobe light. You are flickering in and out of existence so fast that you can't perceive it.
This connects back to the lexicon files we looked at a while back, right? The ancient Pali term.
Annika, yes.
Right. Usually when I hear that word in a yoga class or some wellness context, it's translated as impermanence. And it's very gentle. It's like, oh, the leaves fall in autumn, everything changes, go with the flow.
It's poetic, it's comforting, it's manageable.
But the source code refactors that term completely. It says Annika isn't poetry. It's a technical specification.
It's the violence of the speed. It's the vibration. TPS argues that the ancients weren't talking about seasons changing. They were talking about the refresh rate. They saw the strobe light. They saw that things aren't just changing slowly. They are vibrating in and out of existence at a horrifying speed. Anika is the trembling of the data stream itself.
It's the hum of the engine. The 60-cycle hum of reality, but at a trillion hertz.
It is. And because our biological sensors, our eyes, our brains, our nerves are hopelessly slow, we don't see the flickering, we are lagging hardware trying to read high-speed software. So our brain does the only thing it can do.
It cheats.
It cheats, it smooths it over, it hallucinates solidity. We hallucinate that we are the same person we were 5 minutes ago.
But structurally, physically, at the code level, we aren't. Not even close.
We aren't. You are a river of data. You are a process, not a thing. You're a verb pretending to be a noun.
Okay. I need to take a deep breath on that one.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So if the universe is this chaotic, high-speed data stream, this flux, then what are we? I mean, I feel like I'm in here looking out. If the world is just code, who is the user? Or what is the user?
This moves us right into part 2 of the stack, the avatar, or as the TPS documents more clinically call it, the biochassis.
The biochassis. I love the terminology in this project. It just sounds so industrial, so impersonal.
It's functional, and it's designed to strip away the sentimentality we have about ourselves. Usually when we ask, what are we get into souls, spirits, consciousness, all these vague, undefined terms. The source code document just says, look at the architecture. To interface with the simulation, the system generates a programmable entity. That is you.
A programmable entity. Wow.
We tend to think we have bodies, like I'm a spirit and I possess this meat suit. The code flips that script entirely. It says we are programmable entities generated by the system to interface with the simulation. You aren't the driver of the car, you are the car's sensory and control dashboard.
That's a heavy reframe, a really heavy reframe. But let's look at the construction of this chassis, because the document gets really specific about what we are made of, and it says it's not atoms.
Right. This is where it references the architecture and source code context. It brings in the concept of voxel.
Volumetric pixels.
Yeah, if you're a gamer, especially if you've played something like Minecraft, or if you're into 3D design, you know what a voxel is. It's a 3D pixel, a tiny cube of data that has volume. The text explains that the body isn't made of solid atoms in the traditional billiard ball sense. It is a dense cluster of voxels.
And this is another place where it ties back to that legacy code, right?
Yeah.
The Pali term, the kalappas.
It does. It's a direct mapping. In the ancient texts, specifically the Abhidharma, which is like the ancient Buddhist physics manual, they talked about kalappas as these tiny, flashing, fundamental particles that make up all matter. And they said these particles arise and pass away. Guess how fast?
Trillions of times per second.
Trillions of times per second. It's uncanny. The TPS project argues that kalapa was just the ancient word for voxel. They were describing rendered data packets. They were describing the flicker rate of the simulation's building blocks.
So, my hand again.
Yeah.
It's not flesh and bone. It's basically a high-density swarm of 3D data packets, all flickering in and out of existence.
Correct. It's high-density information that your brain renders as flesh. And this biochassis, this swarm of voxels, has a specific purpose. It's a data-gathering device. The document calls it a probe.
A probe sent into the simulation.
And it's equipped with the standard set of tools for data acquisition. It has input ports.
Okay, the input ports. This part I think I get, but then it takes a very sharp turn.
Yeah.
We have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. The 5 senses. Standard stuff.
Those are the standard 5, the hardware sensors. They capture light waves, sound waves, chemical signals, pressure, temperature, basic I/O.
Yeah.
But the TPS architecture lists 6 input ports.
The 6th one being the mind.
And this right here is where people usually get tripped up. This is the hardest part of the entire schematic to accept, I think.
Yeah, because honestly,
Yeah.
my gut reaction is to reject it. I usually think of my mind as me. My eyes see things, but my mind is the one seeing, right? My mind is the CEO. It's the headquarters. It's the thing in the driver's seat.
That is the user error right there. That is the core assumption that the source code is trying to dismantle. The document treats the mind as just another sensor, just another input port on the same level as the nose.
Okay, you have to explain that to me,
Yeah.
because it feels fundamentally wrong. How is the mind a sensor? What is it sensing?
Think about it functionally. Your eye detects light waves, your ear detects sound waves, your tongue detects chemical compounds. What does your mind detect?
Thoughts, memories, emotions, plans.
Exactly. It detects what the system calls mental objects.
Mental objects.
Let's try a practical example. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head?
All the time. Constantly. Right now, it's that incredibly annoying jingle for an insurance company. It's been on a loop for an hour.
Okay, Can you stop it right now? Can you just press an off button and silence it immediately?
No, absolutely not. It's an autonomous process. It drives me crazy.
Right. Now, if you were the one creating that song, if the mind were truly you, the CEO, you could stop it. You would have control. But you can't. You are hearing the song inside your head just like you hear a car horn outside your head. The song is an object that has appeared in the mind space.
So the thought is external. It's just data passing through.
In the TPS architecture, yes. The thought is a data packet. The mind is the port that scans it. A memory pops up of something embarrassing you did in high school. That's data. An urge to get up and eat pizza. That's data. A wave of anxiety about a deadline. That's data.
And the mind just reads it. It doesn't create it.
Mind reads the raw data stream of thoughts and concepts, just like the eye reads the data stream of light. It is not the user. It is just a scanner.
That's profoundly disturbing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because if my mind is just a scanner and my body is just a swarm of voxels, where am I? Who am I if I'm not the body and I'm not the mind?
Now you are asking the right question. Now you are looking for the user. And this brings us to the diagnosis of the central problem. If the system is designed this way, input ports reading data, kernel rendering flux, it sounds like a perfect machine, it should run with zero lag.
It should be a direct line. Kernel renders the flux hits an input port, the experience happens, done. Clean.
Right. It should be effortless. So why are we miserable? Why is there stress? Why do we lie awake at 3 a.m. replaying a conversation from 2014? Why do we get stuck in cycles of anger or doom scroll on our phones until our eyes hurt?
Why does life feel so heavy so much of the time?
Exactly. If the machine is perfect, why is the user experience so bad? This introduces part 3 of the stack, the glitch.
The glitch, and specifically the malware that causes it. The source code document has a fantastic name for it, the self-rootkit.
The self-rootkit, I love this metaphor because it is so technically accurate to how computer security actually works. Do you know what a rootkit is specifically?
It's a virus, right? But a particularly nasty one.
Yeah.
It hides itself.
It's more than just a virus. A standard virus might delete some of your files or pop up ads. A rootkit buries itself deep in the operating system, in the root directory, and its main job is to mask its own existence. It intercepts the system checks. When the antivirus program asks the operating system, is everything okay in here? The rootkit is the one that answers, and it says, yep, we're good, all while it's stealing your passwords in the background.
So it grants unauthorized admin access and then lies about it.
Exactly. It's a hostile takeover. The source code document says the local drive of your biochassis is infected with this recursive malware script, and its primary function is to intercept the raw data stream coming from the 6 input ports.
It sits between the sensor and the awareness. It's a man-in-the-middle attack on your own perception.
Yes. Instead of letting the data flow, instead of letting the flux just wash through the system, the rootkit tries to pause it. It tries to control it. It tries to own it.
The document calls it a resource hog.
Think about your computer when you have a program that has frozen. You get the spinning wheel of death, the fan starts screaming, and if you open Task Manager, your CPU usage is at 99%. Why? Because a single process is stuck in a loop demanding all the system's attention.
It's hung up. It's not letting go.
The self-rootkit is an infinite loop of, I want this, I don't want that, this is me, that's not me. It falsely identifies itself as the system administrator. It hijacks the system prompts and convinces the avatar that I am in charge. I am the one hearing the sound. I am the one thinking the thought.
The hijack, that's what the notes call it. A total system takeover by a piece of faulty code.
But I is just a script. It's a recursive loop of code saying I exist, I am the center, over and over and over. And the problem isn't just that it's a lie. The problem is what it does to the system's performance.
It creates latency.
Latency. This is the crucial definition in the entire system, I think.
Yeah, I play a few online games, and I know that lag is death.
Yeah.
You're playing a shooter and your ping is 200 milliseconds. You're dead before you even see the enemy on your screen.
Exactly. Now, in the simulation of life, what does lag feel like? What does that delay, that friction feel like in your day-to-day experience?
Frustration, stress, anxiety.
It feels like suffering. The source code explicitly maps the ancient concept of dukkha, usually translated as suffering or unsatisfactoriness, to the technical concept of latency. They are the same thing.
Connect those dots for me. How is suffering the same thing as lag? Give me an example.
Okay, let's go back to the flex. Reality is refreshing trillions of times per second. Frame A is rendered and gone. Frame B is rendered and gone. Frame C is rendered and gone. It's a rushing, unstoppable river of data.
Right. It's moving at an bottom speed.
What does the self-rootkit do? Let's say frame B is something pleasant, maybe it's a compliment from your boss, or the taste of a piece of chocolate, or a moment of peace.
I like frame B. Frame B is good.
The rootkit likes frame B too, so it tries to hold it, it tries to freeze the frame, it builds a story around it. This is great, I need more of this. How can I make this last forever?
But the physics engine doesn't care. It has already deleted frame B and moved on to rendering frame C.
Exactly. The physics engine moves on. The rootkit tries to pull back. That tension, that drag between where reality is and where the self wants it to be, that is latency, that is suffering. You are trying to pause a live stream. You can't. So the system just buffers and grinds and heats up.
I see. So craving isn't a moral failing, it's a technical error. It's the malware trying to cache data that has already been deleted from the server.
Precisely. And the opposite is true too. If frame B is painful, say, an insult from someone or toothache or a memory of failure, the rootkit screams, delete this, get this away from me, I reject this frame.
But the frame is already rendered, it's what's happening.
It's already there. You are arguing with the render. You are fighting the data stream. That resistance, that pushing away also creates friction, heat, lag.
The system overheats. That's the quote from the text that really stuck with me.
It overheats. And the document mentions lazy evaluation here. This is a programming concept where you don't compute something until you absolutely have to. Our brain does this. It ignores the complex back end of the flux to render a simple front end. It creates these static concepts, my life, my career, my anxiety. These are just simplified icons masking an incredibly complex process. But the rootkit clogs all the processing power by obsessing over these icons, trying to manage them.
It's like running a high-end graphical game on a computer that's also secretly mining Bitcoin in the background for some hacker. Everything slows down, it gets hot, and the game starts to stutter.
The rootkit is mining a cryptocurrency called ego, and it's burning out your motherboard in the process. That's what burnout is. That's what anxiety and oppression are. It's system exhaustion from the constant, unwinnable fight of trying to maintain the illusion of a solid self against the fluid reality of the flux.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That puts my daily stress into a completely new perspective. I'm not stressed, I'm just overheating my CPU with a faulty background process.
That's the diagnosis?
So, we have identified the malware, we know the system is infected, we know it causes lag. The big multi-billion-dollar question is, how do we fix it? How do we delete the rootkit?
This moves us to part 4, the admin and the patch.
But wait, I have a logical problem here, a paradox. If the self is the virus, who is deleting it? If I am the malware, who is the one listening to this deep dive right now, wanting to get better, isn't that just the malware trying to improve itself to become a better virus?
This is the most subtle and important distinction in the entire TPS project, and you've hit on it perfectly. You have to differentiate between the rootkit and the true user. The text introduces a different system component. It's called the observer module.
The observer module, okay. How is this different from the self? They both sound like they're watching things.
The self doesn't just watch. The self tags data. It adds metadata to everything that comes in. I like this. I hate this. This is mine. This is threatening. This is boring. It's constantly scribbling its opinions all over the files.
It's an opinion machine. It's a critic sitting in the audience of reality, booing and cheering.
Right. The observer module, on the other hand, audits the system. It has no opinion. It simply registers. Data detected, sound detected, thought detected, sensation of heat in the hand detected. It watches without tagging. It has read-only access, but it sees the raw code without interpretation.
So it's the diagnostic tool. It's like opening the task manager or the activity monitor on your computer and just seeing the list of processes running.
Exactly. And the observer is the only function with permissions to truly audit the system. The self cannot see itself because the self is the glitch. A fish can't see the water it's swimming in, and the ego can't see the ego. You need an external or a deeper protocol to spot the error in the code.
So this observer module, how does it delete the rootkit? What is the patch?
The patch is a process, not a file you download. The process is called overclocking attention.
Overclocking, another great computing term. That's when you push your hardware past its factory settings to get more speed, more performance.
The premise is this. The flux is running at trillions of cycles per second. The self-rootkit is slow. It runs at the speed of concepts and stories. It runs at the speed of language, which is incredibly slow by comparison. To catch the thief, you have to run as fast as the thief. Actually, you have to run faster.
You have to speed up the observer module to match the speed of reality itself.
You have to speed up the sampling rate of your attention. This connects to the specific meditation techniques mentioned in the architecture file, things like rapid noting, body scanning.
Yeah.
You aren't just relaxing or being mindful in a vague sense. You are undertaking a technical exercise to increase the frequency of your observation to match the refresh rate of the flux.
And why does this specifically delete the self? What's the mechanism?
It's because of the logic of the gaps. If you look closely enough, if you overclock your attention to a high enough frequency, you start to see the gaps between the frames.
You see the strobe light, you see the flicker.
You see that the self isn't a solid, continuous entity. You see that the thought, I am angry, is just a data packet that arises in frame 100 and vanishes in frame 101. It's not a continuous line, it's a dotted line. The feeling of me isn't a thing, it's a flicker.
And once you see the gaps, once you see the dotted line,
Once the observer sees that the so-called system administrator is actually just a flickering, intermittent process, the illusion shatters. The rootkit relies on being hidden. It relies on you believing it is solid and in charge. When you see it flicker, its authority is revoked. It's exposed as a fraud.
the jig is up. The malware is exposed by the diagnostic tool.
And that exposure, that realization, leads to the crash, what the text calls the system halt.
This is the part of the text that really blew my mind, the reboot. The document says, almost cryptically, the screen goes black.
This is a phenomenon known in the legacy code as neroda or cessation. When the observer module's sampling rate finally syncs up with the refresh rate of the simulation, the rendering engine halts.
It crashes. The blue screen of death for reality.
Effectively, yes. It stops rendering the world. It stops rendering time. It stops rendering space. And most importantly, it stops rendering the process you identify as you.
Total blackout. No input, no output.
Total system halt. There's no experience, no consciousness, just the end of that particular processing cycle. A full stop.
That sounds like death.
It is a kind of death. It is the death of the momentum of the system, the death of the glitch.
And then, what happens after the screen goes black?
And then the text says, when the system reboots, the rootkit is deleted.
Just like that. Why? Why doesn't it just come back online with everything else?
Because the rootkit, the sense of self, relies on continuity to exist. It needs the story of me to keep running. It needs the past to link to the future to create a narrative. The reboot is a hard reset that breaks that story. It severs the link. When the lights come back on, the system restarts. But the malware script, the core assumption of a separate continuous self, doesn't load. It's been wiped from the boot sequence.
It's a clean install of the operating system.
The system now runs with zero lag.
That sounds incredibly intense and maybe a little scary. A full system crash, a blackout. If the self is gone, what's left? Does the avatar just become a robot? A vegetable? Will I lose my personality, my memories, my love for my family?
This is the common fear. It's a rootkit's last line of defense, really. We are so attached to the rootkit that we think the rootkit is life. We think, if I don't have my ego, who will pay the bills? Who will love my kids?
Right. If I don't have my anxiety, how will I get anything done? It's what motivates me.
But the source code document is very clear on this in part 5, the upgrade. The system doesn't remain empty. It doesn't become a zombie. It reboots into its native configuration. It installs the quad-core kernel.
The upgrade, the quad core. Now, I know from the notes this refers to the 4 immeasurables from Buddhist philosophy, the Brahma Viharas.
Yes, that's the legacy code it's referencing.
And I'll be honest, when I see terms like loving kindness and compassion and sympathetic joy, I tend to tune out a little. It feels like we're pivoting from hardcore sci-fi to Sunday school. It feels soft.
I get that. I really do. But the source code anticipates that reaction. It explicitly warns, and this is almost a direct quote, do not mistake this for morality. This is thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics, heat management. How on earth is love thermodynamics?
Think about the system load post-reboot. The rootkit is gone. The firewall of self is down. The filter is off.
Okay, so you're taking in everything.
That means you are now processing the infinite data stream of the flux without a filter. You are seeing everything, hearing everything, feeling everything from the entire network.
Infinite bandwidth.
If you tried to run that amount of data on the old hardware with the old, I hate this blocking mechanism, what would happen?
You'd melt. Your CPU would literally melt. You'd burn out instantly.
Exactly. You'd suffer thermal runaway. So to operate in this state, the system must run on 4 specific drivers to prevent overheating. These aren't moral choices, they are cooling systems. They are necessary for system stability at this new processing speed.
Okay, that reframes it completely. Let's run through the quad core. Driver 1, open ports.
The legacy term is meta. It's usually translated as loving kindness. But in the TPS technical manual, it's defined as absolute connectivity.
Absolute connectivity, not an emotion, a network state.
It means the ports are open. Usually we have a firewall that says, let this good feeling in, keep that painful feeling out. I want to feel happy. I don't want to feel sad. Every time you close a port or filter a packet, you create resistance. And in any system, resistance creates heat.
So meta is just letting everything in, no firewall.
It's zero resistance. It's total unconditional openness to data. You accept all incoming packets without judgment or blocking. That is what love is in this system. Not an emotion you feel for someone, but a structural state of non-resistance to reality. It's the most efficient way to process data.
Wow, okay. Driver 2, error correction.
Legacy term, karuna or compassion. In the TPS build, this is defined as active debugging.
Active debugging, I like that. It's so functional.
Since you are now connected to the whole network, since there is no self-firewall separating you from others, when you detect lag, which is suffering, in another node, another person, you feel it as your own system friction.
Because we are on the same network, their lag affects my performance.
Right. If your computer is networked to a printer that is jamming, your computer gets an error message. The print queue backs up. You don't go fix the printer because you are a saintly computer user. You fix it because the error message is annoying and you need to print your document.
So compassion isn't about being good. It's about maintaining network stability.
Exactly. You help other nodes to fix the lag in the global system because you are now fully integrated with it. Their suffering is a bug report that appears on your own screen.
Okay. Driver 3, signal amplification.
Legacy term, mudita. Usually translated as sympathetic or appreciative joy.
This is the one that's usually very hard for people, being genuinely happy for others' success.
It's hard because the rootkit, the ego, runs on zero-sum logic. It's based on comparison and scarcity. If someone else wins, the ego feels like it lost something. Why didn't I get that promotion? Why are they happier than me? That comparison process consumes massive resources. It's a waste of energy.
But with the quad core,
Yeah.
the zero-sum logic is gone.
It's deleted. The system simply amplifies high-fidelity signals. If another node is succeeding, if it's broadcasting a signal of joy or success, the system boosts that voltage. Global network voltage goes up. It's pure optimization. Oh, there is joy over there. Great, let's amplify that signal. There's no resource envy because the concept of a separate me that needs resources is gone.
And finally, driver 4, the big one, system stability.
Upeka, equanimity.
The document calls this a supercooling mechanism, the master thermostat.
This is the most critical driver of the 4. It is the zero-point temperature that allows the whole thing to run. It allows the system to feel everything: infinite pain from driver 2, infinite joy from driver 3, infinite data from driver 1 without crashing.
It's the shock absorber for the entire system.
It is the ultimate suspension system. Without equanimity, the other 3 drivers would burn the system out. If you had infinite compassion but no equanimity, you would be instantly crushed by the suffering of the world. Equanimity allows the system to process all the data, to feel it fully, but without being perturbed or knocked off balance by it. It creates a state of profound, cool, operational stability.
So after the reboot, you become this high-performance, super-cooled open network node.
Running at trillions per second with zero lag. That's the promise of the architecture.
That is quite the roadmap, an unbelievable journey. We went from the source code, the kernel, through the render, the flux. We identified the avatar hardware, found the glitch, which is the self, applied the patch by overclocking attention, which led to a system halt, and then a full reboot with a quad-core upgrade.
It's the complete stack, from the bare metal of the kernel to the user interface on the monitor.
And you know, what really strikes me about this whole TPS project, this whole framework, it takes something that usually feels so abstract, so mystical enlightenment, liberation, whatever you want to call it, and it puts it in terms that make it feel solvable.
Technically feasible. That's the goal of the whole document, to remove the mysticism.
It gives you the, so what? The document says the listener now has the code, the map, and the manual.
That's the key takeaway. The path from an infected biochassis to a zero-lag system is established not as a religious mystery you have to have faith in, but as a technical certainty. If you run the code, the program executes. It's physics. Information physics, but physics nonetheless.
Which brings us to the end of our deep dive today. But we can't let you go without one final thought to chew on. And this one might keep you up at night.
It's the question that drives the whole project, really.
We've established that the body is a renderer of voxels. We've established the mind is just a sensor.
Yeah.
We've established the self you think you are is a virus. So the final question is this.
If you are not the voice in your head, and you are not the body in the chair, are you the glitch? Or are you the one waiting to be rebooted?
Proceed to security verification. This has been the TPS Deep Dive on the source code. We'll see you in the next frame.